Hey, good Sunday morning, everybody. It is great to be with you all. It is before sunrise here this morning, but there is so much interesting stuff going on in Southern California and Northern Baja that I couldn't wait to wake up and bring it all to you. Giant bluefin tuna lurking off the Southern California coast, spooling some anglers yesterday. South of the border, down there below Ensenada, we still have copious amounts of yellowfin tuna, and they are biting. Some really good scores coming out of Ensenada and San Diego. And of course, here we are as we move up on Halloween and this incredible fishing, and our weather is going to come down. It's been nasty again, and that is unlike our fall weather for the most part, but it's going to come down. It's going to get nicer, and I've got a feeling things are really going to bite even better than they are right now. You know what time it is? It is time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Delicious. Good morning. Hey, good morning, my friends. It is great to be with you here. It is a glorious start to the day. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday morning. Enjoy your coffee, tea, or whatever it is you're doing. And if you're off to church or you're just going to enjoy the great outdoors, I wish you a wonderful Sunday, because I'll tell you, we've got a lot of great fishing information for you all. Yesterday, I was down at Dana Wharf Sport Fishing. I love Dana Wharf Sport Fishing. The atmosphere there is always so wonderful. And I was out with the IGFA, Friedman Adventures, and the IGFA had a kids trip yesterday. And my hat's off to Sally and Bob Kurtz, who really organized this whole thing. I brought the kids, they took it from there with great instruction on knot tying and just talking to the kids about the great outdoors, and of course, a day on the water. That video, by the way, is going to drop in just a little bit. You'll be able to see it right here on Friedman Adventures. I highly recommend you take a look at it, see the great volunteers, see the great parents and kids that were out on that trip, and just a reminder of how important it is to get kids out there on the water, or out for a hike, or out for a beach walk, whatever it is. The great outdoors is so important to kids, so keep that in mind. Also, that Wahoo video that we did with Sam De La Torre, man, you got to watch that. It is getting rave reviews, and for good reason. Nobody does it better than Sam De La Torre from Island Fishing Tackle in Carson, California. Make sure you check that one out. Hey, could you do me a favor? Please, pretty please, give us a like. Just hit that thumbs up button right now. It really, really helps us. So many of you already do that, and I deeply appreciate it, pushing us up in our YouTube views, and that really helps us a lot, helps us to provide more content for you. So hit that like button, really appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and also share this video with someone you love or someone you don't love. Doesn't really matter. All right, let's get into it, and let's start out in Ensenada, talking to our friend Victor down there at Blackfin Sport Fishing on Punta Banda. It's beautiful down there in Ensenada. You've got to get down there. I'm going here really, really soon, and I hope to shoot a video with Blackfin, because I mean, we want to show you all how fun it is to go to Mexico, to Baja California, and to fish on board a panga. Hopefully I'll be doing that in the next few days, so keep an eye open for that. The fishing down there has been good. Now, we've encountered some breezier conditions here over the last couple of days, but by Monday the weather's going to be glorious down there. In fact, this morning it's quite nice. It's come down, and it wasn't really that horrible, but it was just a little bit more breezy. Way more breezy offshore, and I'll get into that in a moment. But they still are catching good amounts of yellowfin tuna. Now, there's a mix in the size of the yellowfin. Sometimes you get that 5 to 10 pound stuff, but for the most part down there, fishing down around a spot we call the lower 500. That's where Victor says his Blackfin sport fishing guys have been fishing. and they're catching nice fish, 15 to 25 pound YFT, some of it bigger than that. A lot of fish on the trolled feathers. They've been biting that very, very well. But you can catch those fish on a Daiwa Sakana lure. I highly recommend you fish at least 40 pound. You toss it out there when you see the fish up, and I know your inclination, you're tempted that when that jig hits the water to just start winding on it right away. After all, you see fish jumping out of the water and they're on the surface. But remember, sometimes that can be the tip of the iceberg. 90% of that fish is still down in the water column. So sink that jig down. You might get bit on the sink. If not, give it a 5 count. Give it a 10 count and then wind it back, and you will get bit with more frequency, and that's the name of the game. So really good fishing going on down there in that neck of the woods. If you're going to bait fish in San Diego, or you're going to bait fish down there in Ensenada, you want 25 and a 40 pound outfit. You want fluorocarbon. We love Opsin fluorocarbon. You know that. www.opsinusa.com. Put in FA at checkout. Greg Brown will send you a love note and a free gift. So we like that, okay? So you want to fish straight mono, you can do that. I was talking to Dan yesterday on the kids trip. He said, I fish straight mono and I do just fine. So whatever it is that floats your boat, you can do it. But we like that fluoro. We like the abrasive, the resistance to abrasion also. That is super important, and we do think it gets bit a lot better. Hook sizes, when the fish are finicky, you're fishing that 25 pound, and you're fishing a number 2 size hook. When they're biting full speed, you're going to the 40 or better than that. Some of the San Diego sport boats have had them eating 100 pound. So you're going to go to that 2.0 size hook or bigger and fish that heavier line. Really good fishing south of the border right now, and that is continuing. Now let me take you and talk to you. Let's stay down in Baja right now, okay? So boats that are coming out of Point Loma and going down the Baja coast 70, 80, 90 miles are doing pretty darn well right now. There's been some excellent fishing. That yellowfin is on the chew, as evidenced by the pongueros there out of Ensenada, and the San Diego fleet is also in on it, and many times it is flat, wide open. You find the right pod of dolphin, and they are holding. You can get bit. There's some yellowfin on kelps every once in a while, mixed in with the flatheads, the Dorado, and then other times you just get a jig strike or a sonar mark, and it's been flat. Really, really good fishing. So the Sea Adventure 80 on a day and a half trip with 100 yellowfin tuna. What's wrong with that? They also had 20 Dorado and 30 yellowtail. Many of those kelp patty yellowtail are really small. A few bigger fish, but some small. But the yellowfin, nice quality. And the Dorado, really nice quality also. The T-Bird down there out of San Diego, limits of yellowfin tuna. The Grande ran an overnight trip, so not even day and a half. Leaving at night, 10 o'clock at night or whatever time, 9, 10, and then back in the subsequent night. They had limits of yellowfin tuna. So this is really good fishing. And if you just beamed down from another planet and you're listening to this, no, this is not the dead of summer. This is not July. This is not August. This is Halloween, basically. And we're still getting bit. Have we had a blessed season or what? It has been absolutely remarkable. Great fishing. Several other boats with scores like that. That yellowfin is really the target fish right now out of San Diego. It's volatile. It can change. We might be into some bluefin. We might be catching more Dorado again. But right now, YFT seems to be the name of the game. And it's been really great fishing. And now we're going to have the weather come down even further, and that is going to help this entire scenario even more. So great fishing going on as you go down the Baja coast. I love what's going on down in that neck of the woods. Now this bluefin tuna zone, now we're talking about San Clemente Island, we're talking about behind it toward Tanner Bank, we're talking about the Butterfly Bank. All those zones have had some, I will call it snotty weather. Not horrible, but definitely not comfortable, and definitely making things a lot more difficult. It's just harder to work in that weather, harder to find fish. But the boys have been fighting it. Out on the Pride, they had some of these big bluefin tuna. In fact, they got into straight big BFT in the very beginning of their trip, and they got their clocks clean. One guy got spooled on a bluefin tuna. Bye, zing powie, it was gone. Another got a 250 pound fish, 260, somewhere in that range, come to gaff and bust off at deep color. I mean, heartbreak. Now, they got into some smaller grade bluefin tuna, 25 to 40 pounders, and that's just what the doctor ordered. They just fell short of limits, but great fishing in snotty weather. And that 25 to 40 pound bluefin tuna, I say smaller grade, you know, I can still remember a time where I would have just been singing out loud about 25 to 40 pound bluefin tuna. So let us not get too spoiled. Excellent fishing, darn near limits on the Pride. I don't know how you can get it any better than that. The Freedom was also out there, and they got into some of that bigger grade fish and also smaller grade. They just kind of scratched at it. Didn't really get a big score together, but they were dealing with that weather once again. Same thing over there on the Thunderbird. They were out. They had several nice fish. They had 8 fish, 80 to 100 pound class. But once again, folks, not wide open. And I think the weather has had something to do with this. Now, that fish out there, I mean, I guess I need to emphasize this. I really do. You need 130 pound, at least 100 pound spectra. And even at that, you might bust some of these things off. They're gorgeous fish. I mean, 250, someone's going to get a 300 pounder because that big grade fish is around right now. So you want to have that. And if you're fishing the, you know, knife jigs or the flat fall jigs or any of those type of lures, you definitely want to have 200 pound leader on there or better. You definitely have to have that. There's some really nice fish. Now, some of that big bluefin is biting in the daytime, and part of that problem is it's been a little reluctant to bite on the heavier line. So you're hooking these giant bluefin tuna on 60 pound, and man, good luck on that one if you can get them to eat a little heavier, and that's where that fluorocarbon is going to give you an edge. I'm telling you, Dan, it really will. Then try to get bit on the 80 pound or better. And the way to get bit is, of course, by choosing a good hot bait. Many times we'll tell you to change your bait regularly. A lot of these fish have come on long soaks. That is to say, leaving your bait in the water for quite a period of time. And I will defer to the crew on deck, whatever sport boat you're on, talk to them. Ask them, has it been a long soak or do I need to change my bait regularly? They're there to help you out, and they will really do a good job. San Diego yesterday bounced around offshore. Now they are, you know, a boat that leaves in the morning out of Seaforth Sport Fishing, comes back in the evening, and they chased all kinds of schools of fish around. Really couldn't get them to bite that well, but late in the day they ended up on some big bonita and had a lot of fun with those big grade bonita, you know, like 5 pounds and above for the most part. And they are a lot of fun. They're really good eating if you take good care of them, and they do take good care of them on the San Diego. Just shy of 100 of those big bonita. There's some bluefin around. There's some yellowfin around. Those day boats are not finished yet. I'm telling you right now, they're going to be catching a lot more great fish. I like the fact this weather is going to come down. That's going to help us so very much. So keep all that in mind. Now let's talk islands. Todos Santos Islands, right off of Ensenada. There's a few yellowtail there. Some days they bite pretty darn well, other days not so much, but there's a lot of big bonita zooming around there, so you can get your fill of that. And rock fishing, lingcod, and that kind of stuff. Also in the picture there in the Todos Santos Island region. At the Coronado Islands, still a good yellowtail bite to be had, and some of the boys down in San Diego are starting to switch over to that. A lot of that yellowtail is still deep, and it's probably going to remain that way. It's fall fishing. Yellows get into that deeper water, so they're biting the yo-yo iron, which is a smaller, heavier jig that you sink down deep and then wind on fast. And then you wind it up maybe halfway and then kick it into freeze full and get down again. There's no reason to wind it all the way to the surface because that upper water column is not where those yellows are living right now, so you're wasting your time. About halfway up, freeze spool it, back down again. I fish 60 pound, at least 40 pound on the yo-yo iron yellows, and then you can also get a bite on the bait, and that's going to be dropper looping with about a 6-ounce torpedo sinker down there at the Coronado Islands, riding down South Kelp Ridge into the rock pile region. Some really good fishing down there, and you can also come up with some lings and rockfish, other stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that. The Mahi-mahi, 18 guys, 16 yellowtail from my buddy Bill Wilkerson, 90 bonita, 35 rockfish, some sheepshead and other stuff to go along with it. Nothing wrong with that kind of a score. That is nice fishing. And also out the Mission Bell. He had a nice day with 38 on the yellowtail, and then bonita and rockfish, stuff like that to go along with it for my buddy Sean Hardigan there out of Point Loma Sport Fishing. So pretty good fishing going on. At San Clemente Island, some yellows there. It's been up and down lately. A lot of sea lion problems, but it has been up and down. And I mean, with this giant bluefin right outside of Clemente, how can you pass that up right now? And then you have that smaller grade bluefin, so you can actually catch a couple. It's just been remarkable. At the island itself, some yellow, some calico bass, some bonita. Santa Barbara Island, a little bit breezy, going to come down beautifully on Monday. Should see some yellows, even the occasional sea bass out there, especially for these smaller yacht boats. They've been doing pretty well there. And Channel Islands, copious amounts of rockfish, as that bite has been really good. Occasional halibut and sea bass. Again, a lot of market squid moving into the coast and all the islands right now. And that market squid is a magnet for all kinds of predators. Sometimes the bite on those predators will manifest itself immediately with a good late fall bite or a wintertime bite. And sometimes it shows up in the spring. So only time will tell. But you can expect a few fish for sure up there in that neck of the woods. Coastal regions, mostly sculpin, rockfish, whitefish, with some good bass fishing here and there, an occasional local yellowtail. Up there in Ventura, the island spirit, great fishing on whitefish and sheepshead and all kinds of bottom fish with my buddy Cody Rogers there out of Ventura Sport Fishing. Nice bite with them, incidentally. That is 805-676-3474 if you'd like to jump on board with Cody or any of the great boats out of Ventura Sport Fishing. They do a remarkable job. Surf fishing, a few halibut, and also some spot fin croaker biting right now, a few yellowfin croaker. Okay, surf fishing right now. Again, hey, if you can get out for a couple of hours, working around your work schedule, come out and have some fun. Highly recommend you do that. And I'll be doing some surf fishing guiding trips here very, very soon. I got to get through just a few weeks here of a really busy schedule. Then I'll settle down and be taking you out for some surf fishing. That should be a lot of fun. Hey, I'll tell you, this is remarkable. I mean, it's Halloween, Dia de los Muertos, and we're catching giant bluefin, yellowfin tuna, all kinds of marlin still around. There's a lot of marlin here in SoCal and down there in northern Baja. The guys on the Pongas are telling me, Felipe, mucho marlin este año. A lot of marlin this year. So it really is looking very, very good. Highly recommend you take a look at that Wahoo video. I know you're going to love that. And the kids that were on that trip yesterday were saying, Phil, hey, Phil, when's that video? I want to see myself. When's that video going to be ready? When is it going to be ready? And that kind of joy and excitement exuding from all those kids. Man, it was a beautiful thing, I've got to tell you. And I thank all those great volunteers who made it happen. I just showed up and videotaped the thing, brought the kids, and they did all the work, and they were remarkable, did such a great job. So check that video out. It's going to be up in just a few moments. And of course, I send you all my very, very best for a lovely Sunday and a wonderful week to come. Thanks for joining us on the morning briefing. Remember, share, like, subscribe. That means a lot to us. I thank you so very much, and I hope to see you really, really soon.